Hey everybody. So today what we're going to do is go over the notes for animal digestive systems in terms of structure and function. At this point you should have already done the activities on pages 70 and 71 of your packet where you analyzed some digestive systems and looked for some patterns between different organisms that you already knew their feeding niche. So we're going to just be summarizing that today, and we're on page 68. So go ahead and pause the video and orient yourself to page 68 so that you can take notes with me. Okay, so we're going to start at the top here and look at the general digestive system path. So what happens when an organism eats food? Well, the first place it goes is the mouth. The mouth is going to start chewing and breaking down the food. Okay, from the mouth, it works its way down the throat, which is the esophagus, to make its way to the stomach. And then from the stomach, it works its way into the small intestine. Where it then works its way into the large intestine and then exits the body as poop, whatever hasn't been absorbed. Okay, so we're going to look at some basic structures here and summarize what we've learned. In terms of the mouth, teeth, and jaws, we already took notes on this. You want to look at your notes, so you're going to see notes in the structure function investigation on dentition, and that was on page 15. Okay, so that's posted on Schoology as well if you need to review those notes. We're going to focus on the other parts that we learned about in this section. So let's start with the stomach. The basic function of the stomach is to secrete acids and enzymes which start to break the food down. Okay. And as we compare carnivore, herbivore, and omnivore, so carnivore we'll do in red here. So carnivores, hopefully you've noticed, had larger stomachs. And they're larger because they're going to eat a lot at once, and also they hold a lot of digestive acids, more than, say, some of the herbivores. Okay, versus the herbivore, which is a smaller stomach generally, but they may have a multi-chambered stomach, which makes it look larger. And I'll show you a picture in a second. Okay. So just scrolling down to the next page here as we look at this example. So you see some stomachs here. This is the stomach. And this is an example of a multi-chambered stomach, so it definitely looks larger. But if you compare, say, the stomach of this carnivore to the stomach of this herbivore, the carnivore stomach's a bit bigger. Okay, we're going to skip omnivore. We'll come to omnivore at the end here. So small intestine's next. What does the small intestine do? It is absorbing nutrients. Okay, so with our carnivore, our small intestine is going to be shorter, and it's going to be have a more simple look, smoother, less folding, versus the herbivore, it's going to be longer and more complex in terms of its folding. Scrolling down, here's the small intestine. Okay, the reason it's longer in herbivores is because it's more difficult to absorb the nutrients from those plants, so it takes a longer amount of time and more work to do that. Okay, the cecum is a structure that's meant to digest plant material and help break that down. So in carnivores, this is minimal or not present because they don't break down plants, so they don't have a need for this structure. Versus in herbivores, it's larger and it's meant to aid the digestion and breakdown that doesn't happen in the stomach. Okay, we can see a rather large cecum there. And you won't see that on the carnivore up top. Okay, our last structure is the large intestine, and the large intestine's basic function is to reabsorb water back into the body, so that not a lot of water is expelled and the water is saved for the organism. So once again, the large intestine on carnivores is going to be shorter and is going to be simpler. Versus when we talk about an herbivore, it's longer and again, more complex, more folding. Large intestine is the last piece here. And if you need a little review, oops, no G there. If you need a little review of the process of digestion, go ahead and watch that digestion video again that we saw in class, and you should be able to find that on Schoology. Okay, so in terms of our omnivores, let's go purple with the omnivores. Really what you're going to notice is they're a mix of both. Okay, so really it's difficult to give any specifics for omnivores because they might have some cecum, they might not. They might have a larger stomach, but then they have more complex intestines. It all depends. You really have to look for a mix of both things because omnivores digest and eat both animal and plant material. So our overall conclusions here at the bottom for carnivores, overall I would say if you look for some of the things I've said here, shorter digestive tracts, simpler digestive tracts with less folding in the intestines, and that's because it's easy to digest meat as compared to plants. And we could go with the opposite things for the herbivores, longer, more complex, more folding, and that's all because it's harder to digest plants because of that difficult cellulose material in that plants that is hard to break down. Okay, so that is our summary of animal digestive systems. Hope you enjoyed that, and let us know if you have any questions.